Mass shootings are incidents involving multiple victims of firearm-related violence. The precise inclusion criteria are disputed, and there is no broadly accepted definition. One definition is an act of public firearm violence, excluding gang killings, domestic violence, or terrorist acts sponsored by an organization, in which a shooter kills at least 4 victims. Using this definition, one study found that nearly one-third of the world's public mass shootings between 1966 and 2012 occurred in the United States. Using a similar definition, The Washington Post records 163 mass shootings in the United States between 1967 and June 2019. Gun Violence Archive, frequently cited by the press, defines a mass shooting as firearm violence resulting in at least 4 people being shot at roughly the same time and location, excluding the perpetrator. Using this definition, there have been 2,128 mass shootings since 2013. Roughly 1 per day. According to some studies, the United States has had more mass shootings than any other country. Shooters generally either die by suicide afterwards or are restrained or killed by law enforcement officers or civilians. However, mass shootings accounted for less than 0.2% of all homicides in the US between 2000 and 2016. There is no fixed definition of a mass shooting in the United States. The Investigative Assistance for Violent Crimes Act of 2012, signed into law in January 2013, defines a mass killing as one resulting in at least 3 victims, excluding the perpetrator. In 2015, the Congressional Research Service does not define a mass shooting but does define a public mass shooting, for the purposes of its report entitled, Mass Murder with Firearms, as a multiple homicide incident in which 4 or more victims are murdered with firearms within one event, and in 1 or more locations in close proximity. The CRS further states that its report attempts to refine the relatively broad concept of mass shooting into a narrower formulation. Public mass shootings, a broader definition, as used by the Gun Violence Archive, is that of 4 or more shot or killed, not including the shooter. This definition, of 4 people shot regardless of whether or not that results in injury or death, is often used by the media, press, and non-profit organizations. Some studies indicate that the rate at which public mass shootings occur has tripled since 2011. Between 1982 and 2011, a mass shooting occurred roughly once every 200 days. However, between 2011 and 2014, that rate has accelerated greatly, with at least 1 mass shooting occurring every 64 days in the United States. In recent years, the number of public mass shootings has increased substantially, although there has been an approximately 50% decrease in firearm homicides in the nation overall. Since 1993, the decrease in firearm homicides has been attributed to better policing, a better economy, and environmental factors such as the removal of lead from gasoline. A comprehensive report by USA Today tracked all mass killings from 2006 through 2017 in which the perpetrator willfully killed 4 or more people. For mass killings by firearm, for instance, it found 271 incidents with a total of 1,358 victims. Mother Jones listed 7 mass shootings, defined as indiscriminate rampagers in public places resulting in 4 or more victims killed, in the US for 2015. An analysis by Michael Bloomberg's Gun Violence Prevention Group, Every Town for Gun Safety, identified 110 mass shootings, defined as shootings in which at least 4 people were murdered with a firearm. Between January 2009 and July 2014, at least 57% were related to domestic or family violence. Other media outlets have reported that hundreds of mass shootings take place in the United States in a single calendar year, citing a crowd-funded website known as Shooting Tracker, which defines a mass shooting as having 4 or more people injured or killed. In December 2015, The Washington Post reported that there had been 355 mass shootings in the United States so far that year. In August 2015, The Washington Post reported that the United States was averaging 1 mass shooting per day. An earlier report had indicated that in 2015 alone, there had been 294 mass shootings that killed or injured 1,464 people. Shooting Tracker and Mass Shooting Tracker. The two sites that the media have been citing have been criticized for using a broader criteria, counting 4 victims injured as a mass shooting, thus producing much higher figures. According to the New York Times, the majority of perpetrators they have published stories about are white males who act alone. According to most analyses and studies, the proportion of mass shooters in the United States who are white is slightly less than the proportion of white people in the general population of the US. However, the proportion of male mass shooters is considerably greater than the proportion of males in the population. Several possible factors may work.